The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by SGPN Merch Store. Use promo code SGPNBA to get 10% off everything in the SGPN store. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Monday, April 17th, currently 11:10 on the East Coast. Here to recap everything that we saw in the NBA playoffs on Sunday, and here to give you our betting picks for the two games on the Monday schedule for the association. We have the Brooklyn Nets in game two, trying to even up the series against the Sixers. And then we have also the Golden State Warriors in Sacramento looking to even up the series. We'll get into all of that plus much more. But joining me, as usual, on the Monday episodes, you guys know him as the superstar of the show. It's the villain, Terrell Furman Jr. Terrell, what's going on, my brother?
What's going on, Munaf? Another day of NBA playoff action. Another day of injuries running rampant through the NBA. Can we just turn the injury slider off? Let's just turn the injury slider off, and because it's insane. Like there were Tyler Hero, I guess Anthony Davis. I don't know. He couldn't move his arm. Then he came back and finished the game. So I don't know how that worked out. But Giannis as well. Like there's some serious injuries that I'm not gonna lie. That's gonna affect some series.
Yeah, I think that, like you mentioned, they forgot to turn off the injuries button when they started the NBA playoffs over the course of the weekend, but I think more so yesterday as well. We'll kind of just go game by game here, Terrell. Just kind of give our thoughts, recap it, and then we'll jump into the two games here for the two games here tonight. The first game yesterday, we had the Grizzlies hosting the Lakers in game one. Lakers do get the victory there. Excuse me, 128, I believe. Let me go back and see the score. Yeah, 128, 112. Obviously, you talked about the injury news to John Morant. Reports did come out, the X-rays did come back negative, but there is some concern that he may not be able to play, at least in game two. I believe it's on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. But at least for this game one, Lakers do take a 1-0 lead over the Memphis Grizzlies. It was really, for me, and obviously we'll get your thoughts here as well, but it was a supporting cast that really stepped up for this Lakers team, from Austin Reeves to D'Angelo Russell to Rui Hachimura. Those guys combined for 71 of the 128 points that the Lakers did put up. The bigger news in this game, obviously, the John Morant wrist injury. But again, for the Memphis Grizzlies, Triple J had an incredible game for himself, 31 points to go along with 5 rebounds, 2 block shots, 1 steal, and then Desmond Bane also chipped in with 22 points in 37 minutes. John Morant did leave with an injury, like I mentioned. He finished the game with 18.6 rebounds and 2 assists. But what are your thoughts on this game here, Terrell, between the Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies in game one?
Yeah, I think that for one, shout out to the Hardwood Culture Podcast. If you're not listening to that already, we took Memphis Lakers over 228.5. That cashed. I mean, Scott Foster, Eric Lewis, come on, guys. They helped us out. They did. But, that was very, very easy. Didn't have to worry about that. Didn't sweat it all. And what I kind of took away from that first game is that I think that this series can potentially propel one of these two teams to the Western Conference Finals. And I say that because if you watch the game and you watch Rui play, you watch Reeves in that fourth quarter, the confidence that those Lakers guys, the guys that had just been in their first playoff series, were oozing in that game, it was infectious. Like it was, you could see that they felt every single shot that they were putting up was going to go in. And when you have that kind of confidence, it doesn't matter how good your defense is. It doesn't matter what you do on the other side of the ball. you feel like that you are going to be that guy. You're going to bring this home for your team. And so I say that to say that I saw a lot of confidence on that Lakers side of ball, but I
Mhm.
also know how this Grizzlies team can get down and how they can exude. And I feel like this is a great series because they're really going to go at each other. They're really going to pull the best out of each other. Now, there were some interesting things that, I picked up on, and uh some props and stuff like that to look forward to in the future for the rest of the series. I know you're talking about overall series, but just to break it down a little bit more, Santi
Yeah.
Aldama rebounds is going to be a fun prop if they don't boost that. It was at over 4.5 yesterday. He finished with 6 and really got a lot of time to get on the boards with Xavier Tillman getting into early foul trouble because of what? Anthony Davis. Like we talked about, people getting into early foul trouble. And I think the quick thought that we all had was, oh, it's going to be Triple J. Triple J is going to be trying
Mhm.
to stop Anthony Davis. He's going to get no. Xavier Tillman got into some very, very early foul trouble, and he found himself, to the fire and found himself on the bench. And Aldama was able to clean up on the glass and get some rebounds. You see that we talked about Triple J yesterday under on his rebounds. He didn't have an emphasis on rebounding. He didn't really care or to be even looking at the rim. Like if he got a rebound, it's because it fell to him, but he was focused and active on the defensive end. And so LeBron James versus Dylan Brooks, that's going to be something to watch for later on in the series. But it's like so many evenly good matchups across the board that this is going to be fun, and this could go for a while. But I will say it's not surprising to see Memphis lose this first game. We've seen Memphis kind of sleepwalk early in their series before.
Yeah. I thought really it was a game of runs. I think the Lakers did come out in that first quarter, try to punch, or they did punch the Memphis Grizzlies in the mouth. They had a 5 point lead, and then Memphis made it a
Mm-hmm.
game. They took the lead back in the second quarter, where they outscored the Lakers 38-27. Um, I think they were up by 6 points at the half for the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Lakers came out in the second half and outscored the Memphis Grizzlies 69-47 in that second half. And like you mentioned, it was really the 3 point shooting in that fourth quarter to kind of seal the deal for the LA Lakers by Rui Hachimura, who last night, as I mentioned, did have 29 points, but he was 5 of 6 from 3 point land. Austin Reeves had some clutch threes down the stretch as well. He finished with 23 points. I think it kind of goes back to the beginning of the season where we were kind of concerned, or Laker fans were concerned about the supporting cast for this Lakers team and how they would
Mm-hmm.
contend possibly for even a championship. But they made the moves at the trade deadline. Austin Reeves has really flourished in his role since the start of the season. They picked up Rui Hachimura in a trade they traded away Kendrick Nunn for Rui Hachimura. I think that was a great steal by Rob Pelinka. Jared Vanderbilt, I know it's not going to pop off of the stat sheet, but he makes a huge difference when it comes to playing defense and just creating chaos on the defensive side of the basketball. I really shitted on D'Angelo Russell because I felt like he had a rough first half, but he bounced back nicely, especially in that third quarter for the LA Lakers. So it's still a long series here. I think the more concern here is about Ja Morant and if he's going to be able to go in game 2 for the Memphis Grizzlies. But again, it's not new territory, Terrell, for the Memphis Grizzlies to be without Ja Morant. Like they've been in the situation before and they've handled themselves
They've been
very
like it in the
well.
playoffs before and won a
Yeah,
game. They
yeah.
won a game.
Yeah. So I think that, it was a great game one. I think Lakers, historically have dropped game ones, but they came out, they got the victory on the road. And we have a series now. Again, Anthony Davis came out with a shoulder injury, but luckily for the Lakers, he was able to return to the game and finish the game out. He did finish with 22 points, 7 blocks in that game for Anthony Davis to go along with 3 steals. LeBron didn't really have to do a lot on the offensive side of the basketball because when you have your supporting cast stepping up, he was really more focused on the defensive side of the basketball. I mean, we saw some chase down blocks from LeBron. He finished up
Mm-hmm.
with 3 blocks and 2 steals. So it was a great game one. We'll see what happens with
And
John Morant in game 2. But
I
yeah,
kind
what
of
else you got?
I kind of feel like we dropped the ball. I probably should have gave out a LeBron. What did he finish with? He finished with like what
21,
21? Yeah.
21,
So
11, and 5.
yeah, I wish probably should have gave out a LeBron under. I feel like I dropped the ball on that one because we know Brian. he takes his time into series. Like he evaluates the game as the series goes on. And so early on in the series, he's more pass around, get other guys going. But when you get into the later moments of the series, those game threes, game fours, game fives, like that's when LeBron is really there to take over a series. And really, it's just been a while since we've seen him in the playoffs. So, but yeah, he tends to game one and sometimes in game two, not depends on the situation, but sometimes in game two, he's a little bit more passive in terms of being aggressive, going to the rim, and more of setting up his playmakers and everybody else around them, making sure they're getting the best looks and they're getting confidence in the series.
Yep. All right. Before we continue here, recapping, let me tell everyone about Underdog Fantasy. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here, and what better way to get down on some player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they've also already got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. Head over to underdogfantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Terrell, all right, second game on the board was there the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. Miami came out also like the Lakers did in that first quarter, and they punched the Milwaukee Bucks all as well. They won that first quarter 33-24. Obviously, the bigger concern in this game were the two injuries to the respective teams. Giannis left the game after he fell very hard after, I think it was a Kevin Love that tried to draw the charge on him. He fell on his back. He tried to come back, but I think from what I read and from Coach Bud and some of the reports that came out, that they took him out for precautionary reasons just because he didn't look good and he wasn't moving well, which makes sense when you're dealing with a back injury. Injury update as of this morning that there was optimism. Shumps mentioned this on his report that there is some optimism that Giannis is going to be able to go in game two, but definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. For the Miami Heat, the bigger news as well, one of their players, Tyler Hero, broke his hand diving for a loose ball. He is going to be out at least 4 to 6 weeks. We'll see how far Miami does get or if he's even able to return for the Miami Heat. But give a lot of credit to Miami here, Terrell. 130-117 victory. They could have we've seen again. This is another situation like we talked about with the Memphis Grizzlies, where the Milwaukee Bucks have played without Giannis, and they've played well as well. But Miami, they set the tone early in the game. They were up by double digits at the half, and they really didn't look back. They won this game by 13 points in a big victory for the 8th seed against the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. Any takeaways from this game?
I think that it's really hard to have takeaways when Giannis plays how many
11 minutes.
Yeah, 11 minutes. Like,
yeah,
you gotta assume that the game somewhat goes a little bit differently if Giannis is able to finish and play through the game. But if Giannis is out, it's Bobby Portis all the way.
Yeah,
he was a tank out there. It felt like he was unstoppable. And I already gave out Bobby Portis 10.5 over 10.5 points yesterday. That cashed like in the first half, I believe.
Yeah.
It didn't sweat that at all. And then we almost cashed a 4-1 double, two rebounds shy. So I like Bobby Portis if he doesn't go out. Brook Lopez, we're gonna go back to Brook Lopez if Giannis doesn't play in the next game. Like that, Brook Lopez with Giannis out was, a cash cow on points over the course of the season. So I think that could be another angle. But in terms of just looking at the game, I think the Miami Heat came out here to put an emphasis on this is not going to be like last time. Like I think they truly made an emphasis to say this is not going to be like last time. We're not getting swept by them again. And I think that there were some higher level emotions, especially by the play of Jimmy Butler. I came out there and said it. I would not be surprised if Jimmy Butler was the only person to play well in that game. And Bam picked it up late, but Kevin Love had a great contribution, 18 points, 8 rebounds off the bench, 4 for 7 from 3. They got a whole bunch of looks and assists from other guys. Cody Martin came in and added 15 off the bench. Like there was a whole bunch of other contributions.
Yeah.
Even with Tyler Hero out, you still had a Heat team that was shooting 60% from three, like 60% from three, 59.5% from the field. This is a
Yeah.
good Bucks defense. So let's not overlook that. Like they came out and they showed out in game one and really, really put the Bucks in a tough spot now that they don't know what's going to happen with Giannis. They're going to wait, give it some time, see how it feels, and if he's can come back and ready to go. But this isn't going to be the layup. This may not look competitive by the end of the series. Like, what if we go through the end of the series and it's 4-1, 4-2? Like, it may not look competitive in that aspect, but the Heat are going to give the Bucks everything they can handle. And I will say I might have to think twice about laying a big number with the Bucks again.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jimmy Butler played 43 of the 48 minutes in game one against the Milwaukee Bucks. He finished that game with 35 points, 11 assists. I mean, we knew that Jimmy was going to get his. Like you mentioned, Bam did come out or contributed late in that second half and in that fourth quarter for the Miami Heat. But you take a look at some of the other guys did. Gabe Vincent had some clutch 3-pointers to
Mm-hmm.
really, create
It was
that
big.
separation. Yeah, in that fourth quarter, he was 4 or 5 from 3-point land, finished up with 15 points. Like I mentioned, unfortunately, Tyler Hero is done for this series at minimum and probably the rest of the season. Just depends on how far Miami obviously gets. But yeah, I mean, look, you had the other guys step up, and we talked about the supporting cast that stepped up for the Lakers in this Miami Heat game. For the Miami Heat, outside of Jimmy Butler's 35, you
Mm-hmm.
had guys like Gabe Vincent, Max Strus. He hit a couple clutch threes. Kevin Love, like you mentioned, with taking those charges, and he knocked down 4 of his 7 3-point shots. Cody Martin as well. So
Can we get
um,
a Kevin Love over charges prop? Like
we
this
need
is
to.
this is insane very recently, and it's very, very impressive for a man of his age and 34 years of age to be going out there and taking charges like that. Like I'm not gonna lie, extremely impressed. I think that they should allow a Kevin Love over 1.5 charges prop because I probably would bet it.
100%. Any other takeaways for this game?
Chris Middleton, man. I'm telling you, when this team is fully staffed, like Drew Holiday, Giannis playing a full allotment of minutes, Chris Middleton can be the X factor that can get them back to the NBA Finals. 12 for
Yeah.
20, 33 points, 9 rebounds. He really, really stepped up with Giannis out and took on the scoring workload and looked like the Chris Middleton of old. Like he did.
Mhm.
He really looked like the Chris Middleton of old. Now we just got to get the Bucks re-aggravated on not re-aggravated, but reinvent themselves on the defensive end for this series.
Yeah, Drew Holiday had a rough shooting night. He was only 6 of 18, but he did finish that game with 16 assists for the Milwaukee Bucks. I expect him to have a bounce back, at least shooting wise game. So we'll see. Again, the latest report was Giannis. There is optimism that he does play in game 2 for the
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee Bucks. So we'll see when we do get to that juncture of this series. We did see maybe the first, well, I don't know, the first 2 games were upsets, but Clippers going into Arizona and taking game 1 from the Phoenix Suns. They were around what, a 7.5 to 8-point underdog where the Clippers they
Yep.
go into Phoenix get the 115-110 victory in game 1. Kawhi Leonard doing Kawhi Leonard things, 38 points in 42 minutes. He was 13 of 24 from the floor, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Zubac with a double-double, 12 points, 15 rebounds. I think Russell Westbrook, if you just looked at the stat page, you probably would have, and if you didn't watch this game, you would have looked at Russell Westbrook and said, oh, 3 of 19. He had a really bad game, but
He had an amazing game on the
he had a
defensive
great
end.
game.
Oh
Yeah, he
my
had a
gosh.
great game. Also, Eric Gordon, he came out and played well as well. I think he scored the first, I think I want to say like the 10 or 12 points for the LA Clippers in that game. But this was a great team effort. It was led by obviously Kawhi Leonard with his 38 points. But like you mentioned there, Terrell, Russell Westbrook, especially down the stretch there in that last possession where he blocked Devin Booker, threw the ball off of him while Devin Booker was whining about a foul call. He played great in game 1 for the Clippers, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times that somebody who goes 3 for 19 from the field gets a game ball, but I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how Ty gave like I guess you could give Kawhi that game ball, but Russell Westbrook really, really ensured that you won that game with the numerous of times that he was able to force turnovers. Like I don't think his steal count even accurately portrays how many times he was able to force turnovers. Like
Mhm.
so yeah, he has official. It's on the books. It goes down as wow. I didn't know he finished with 3 blocks, but on the books it goes down as he finishes with 2 steals. But he forced way more turnovers than that. Like he got people fumbling the ball out of their hands, making the wrong play. Like him and Devin Booker both spectacular on the defensive side of the ball this game. And this was my lock yesterday. Clippers plus 7.5. I had a feeling that this was going to be, and I said it. This is going to be the blue balls of the series, and this game, this is going to be the game where everybody's going to think, "Oh, this series is going to 7. This series is going to 7." And then the Phoenix Suns are going to wake up. They're going to gain the knowledge of having that first playoff game with this roster under their belt,
Yeah.
and then they're gonna go and they're gonna proceed to beat the crap out of Clippers. And I still think that. I still think that. But I was on the Clippers plus 7.5 yesterday. I thought it was gonna be close. I thought the Suns were gonna eke out a small win, and it was there
Mhm.
if one DeAndre Ayton wasn't one of the softest
Yeah.
bigs inside of the paint that I've ever seen. Like it's just
Yeah.
so frustrating. There's 2 times in before that Devin Booker drive that I think it was the possession before where he had the opportunity to get a defensive rebound, give them a minute of change, a minute and change to work with going down the other way. He goes, I think one time it was Russ actually who kind of forced the tip out of his hand, went off of Torrey
Mhm.
Craig. It was another time that the ball kind of got forced out of his hand. And so it's just like, bro, like just be strong under the rim, box out, secure a rebound, and go. Like go. And they
Yeah.
didn't want to, he didn't want to do that. So that was very, very frustrating. I can't see myself ever taking a DeAndre Ayton rebounds prop in this series. I'm not gonna lie. But now I think it's the time where here's where the adjustment comes. Here's where the series wakes up when you drop that first game at home and you're, the overarching favorite. This is when you really wake up. This is when you realize we got to go get a win on the road now. We done
Yeah.
forced our hand. We have to go get a win on the road now. And so this is going to be fun. I still think that this is, the Sun series and they're in the driver's seat of this series. But I will say that that Clippers game was fun, but I'm not going to read into it too much. I think this is still Suns and Suns by a wide margin.
Yeah, there's a one play in particular where I was thinking it was a 2-on-1 with DeAndre Ayton dribbling the ball down the court and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, like he could have easily passed it off to Devin Booker for a layup, but he went for I think the dunk or the layup and ended up having an offensive foul called against him. And Devin Booker right after the play just kind of looks at him like in disgust. It was really funny to see. But yeah, look, I think that when you only play 8 games, like Kevin Durant only plays about 8 games through the regular season with his teammates, it's there's still an adjustment period. I think you still need to get around 10 to 15 games under your belt. But at the end of the day, I still think that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker should be getting at least a minimum of 20 shots up. Last night, Kevin Durant, he did finish with 27 points, 11 assists, fell one rebound short of a triple double, but he was 7 to 15 from the floor. Devin Booker, 10 of 19 at 26 points last night, and Chris Paul near a triple double, where he did have 11 rebounds, 10 assists, but only 7 points last night. So a great victory for the Lakers. For the Clippers in game one. We'll see if the Suns are able to make this adjustment. I agree with you, Terrell, that I still think the Phoenix Suns will win the series. But we'll see how the adjustments are for Monty Williams and the Phoenix Suns. Anything else for this game?
No, I'm good.
Other than the last game of the night, we'll recap quickly. I mean, this was not much of a series or a game here. Denver Nuggets, the number 1 seed in the West, take care of business against the Minnesota Timberwolves, 109-80.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I really didn't have much. I did expect the Denver Nuggets to come out in game one and punch Minnesota in the mouth. They did exactly that. You're not going to win very many games in the NBA overall if you're only scoring 80 points here, Terrell. But I expected this game to be a blowout for the Denver Nuggets. They took care of business in game one against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I really didn't have much for this game. Did you have any thoughts on this game?
No, I mean, I had the same thing. I had Denver. I laid the points with Denver. I went back and forth, and Delonte tried to get me on the side of Minnesota, but ultimately, I trust me, and it felt like that this was a good I do. And so it felt like it was a good spot for Denver to be able to just go out here and just kind of showcase themselves as the number one seed. They don't get the opportunity to do that often. So it was a really good, hey, we're here moment for them. I thought that, there was going to be more scoring and there'd be more assist
Yeah.
opportunities for Jokic. I had Jokic assist ladder and doesn't even hit the original prop. I also had Cat over 23.5 points and he didn't even get there. He wasn't even close. I don't understand how Cat goes 5 for 15 against, the front court of the Denver Nuggets. I have no idea how Cat did that, but maybe it was just it was a little bit of a tough travel spot. And I think that was another thing in the handicap. It was a little bit of a tough travel spot. You're going from OKC, not OKC, but you're going from Minnesota. You went to
Yeah.
LA,
Yeah.
Minnesota, Denver, like all in the
Yeah.
span of a week. Like that is a lot of a tough travel situation. So that probably should have went into the thought process of handicapping some of those props later. But yeah, if you had underslips, you came out pretty all right.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see. I really do think this might be a sweep for the Denver Nuggets. Minnesota just on offense, just they just can't put it together, man. They only scored 80 in game one, and then the prior two games against the Lakers, they had 102, and then they did put up 120 against the Oklahoma City Thunder, but their defense has not been very good all season long. But we'll see if they do make any adjustments and how it does turn out. All right. Before we get into the two games here for tonight, let me tell everyone about the SGPN merch store. We're brought to you by the SGPN merch store in honor of the NBA playoffs from now until the end of April. Get 10% off anything in the SGPN merch store when you use promo code SGPNBA. So head over to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com and use promo code SGPN to get 10% off everything. A lot of great NBA gambling podcast merch in there with its shirts, hoodie, a coffee mug. I've seen a couple of guys pick up the coffee mug. It's super nice. Again, go to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com and you get 10% off of everything. All right, Terrell, let's get into the two games here for tonight. We have the first game on the board. That's going to be the Brooklyn Nets. They are in Philly for game two here. Currently, the line is sitting at double-digit favorite here for the Philadelphia 76ers. Total is at 213. Game one, I'm sure you guys already covered it, but it was a great shooting night for the Philadelphia 76ers in that game. They get the victory 121-101 against the Brooklyn Nets. Now, game two, I think we'll see some shooting regression by both teams. But what are you thinking about this game here? Do you think it's another blowout for the Sixers, or does Nets have a chance to at least cover the number or even win outright?
Yeah, I think that uh hmm. I don't want to see. I feel like it's chalk, but I really, really am concerned about was that first game with Brooklyn, was that their best chance to put up a large number of points? Like they came out with 101. And that's a
Mhm.
pretty solid defensive game. Like this isn't the 80s anymore. You get 101 points and they're like, "Dang, where was the scoring at?" There's some confusion there. I think the defense for Philadelphia is a little bit too much for everybody else outside of Mikal Bridges. Like that's what I think
Right.
this is. Like that's what I ultimately think it is, and that they're keeping everybody else a little bit more rattled. And we'll see if there's adjustments and if they find ways to get other guys open and shooting the ball. Cam Johnson did have a good game, 18, 7 for 11, but like you sit Spencer Dinwiddie, he was all right, 5 for 15. Like you want to see a bigger contribution from him. But when you look at the bench and your production off the bench, yeah, Seth Curry gave you 10. And the two of those were like he had 7 early and then they sat him for some reason. Like they sat him for a majority of
Yeah.
that game. It didn't feel like he could catch a rhythm. He probably could have had a more better impact if they just kept him in the rotation and let him come out there more. But Rosa Neal didn't really give you anything. You're not really looking for much from Dayron Sharp. You didn't really get, anything from Joe Harris. So what bench production is like, who's going to come in off the bench and be able to step up in the playoffs? Because it's shown by here that who the guys they trust. They trust Rich O'Neal. They trust Dayron Sharp to come in there and add some extra size. They trust Seth and Joe Harris to come out there. Cam Thomas, Sumner, like those guys were fun in the regular season, but they're not getting any burn here in the playoffs. But those are your guys that you feel like can go out there and create their own shot and get a bucket. So I really think that the Nets are going to have issues scoring in this series.
Yeah. If you take a look at game one, if we would have said that Brooklyn Nets shot 55% from the floor, you would have thought that either they won the game or even at least cover the number. But I think the difference in this game, or at least in game one, was that the Brooklyn Nets had 19 turnovers and the Sixers were able to convert 31 points from those 19 turnovers. They did have a great shooting night from 3-point land for the Sixers. I mean, it was a franchise record, I believe, where they hit 21 of their 43 3-pointers. But if you're watching that game, a lot of them were open looks for the Philadelphia 76ers in that game. And I know defensively, the Brooklyn Nets in the second half of the season, post All-Star break and after all the trades they did make, like defensively, they weren't very good. They weren't a very good rebounding team either. I think they finished dead last as far as opponent rebounds since the All-Star break. So, I mean, it's shocking, but I still think the domination continues for the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, I don't expect them to knock down none of the 21 3-point shots, but I think the defense is going to be even better for this Sixers team in this game. And this might be a lower scoring game where it's like a 110, 99, 95 type of victory. I agree with you. I think that I think it's going to be hard to come by points for the Brooklyn Nets if they're not able to knock down their 3-point shots, and you really only have I hate their own, whether it's Mikal Bridges or Dinwiddie.
Did you? I couldn't hear you. I was lagging out. I think I was lagging out or something. Can you hear me?
No, I just said, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right. All right. I'm just making sure we good.
Yeah, we're good. I just said that I think it's going to be hard for the Brooklyn Nets just to come by points. I mean, they shot 55% from the floor, and you would
Yeah.
have thought they would have at least covered the number. But I
No,
know the
they
Sixers knocked down 21 3-point shots, but I still think it's going to be hard for them to come by points. And it's like you mentioned against the Sixers defense.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just I so that's why, and I'm leading to finally getting to my point, and I'm gonna take Philly again. I just don't trust them to score points. And where there's a possibility that they can hold Philly to under 120 points here. But if Philly still gets to 110, like, am I 100% certain that Brooklyn is getting to 100? Like,
Yeah.
I truly don't know, because 55% is, if 55% and you tap out at 101, I gotta think that you're in the 90s like this game. And there's ways that Philly can cover this number without putting up a whole bunch of points, getting those extra points from turnovers. Like, you can clean up the turnover battle, but at the end of the day, if you can't score, you can't score. And 55% and putting up 100 points is just not it. So
Yeah.
I kind of hate getting the worst part of this number, but I'll take the -10 with Philly reluctantly.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think I'm laying the chalk here with the Sixers. Let's get to the total here, Terrell. 213. Did say 222 points scored in the first game, but we talked about the shooting percentages. We talked about the 3-point shooting for the Philadelphia 76ers in that game. What do you think about this total at 213?
Um, I'm going under here
Yeah.
because this game went over, and it went over because, again, you said it, 19 turnovers, 31 points off of turnovers. Like, you take away those 31 points and it's a closer game and we're going to the under. I think that is what they clean up. They clean up the turnover battle. They understand the fact that they're not going to be in this game if they're turning the ball over. I just think that the defense for the Philadelphia 76ers is going to hold them to scoring regardless. And, this will be a lower scoring game in terms of they are not going to have to put up a whole bunch of points, but they can still get this cover. So I like the under 213. I think that's my best bet for this game instead of playing the side,
Yeah.
because I think that there is a possibility that this goes under and either side can hit.
Yeah.
But I like the possibility of this going under. I think that the defense for Philadelphia has been really, really good recently, especially watching that first game. And I think that they may also make adjustments. Like they can't look at that game and say, "Wow, we let them shoot 55%,"
Mhm.
and we can't let them shoot 55%. They're not going to just score 100 points on us every single game if they're shooting 55%. So I think that there's adjustments on both sides. I think that there's adjustments on Brooklyn to not turn the ball over and to be more active on their defensive end and limit the points of the 76ers. I think there's adjustments by the 76ers to say, "Hey, we can't let this team shoot over 50% again."
Yeah, I'm there with you. I like the under in this game as well. It's just crazy that again the pace also is going to be very slow in this game. I mean, you take a look that the Sixers got up 89 field goal attempts against or in game one versus 70 only for the Brooklyn Nets. And again, a lot of that has to do with the turnovers as well. But I mean, if with this roster, if this was the roster that you saw for Brooklyn from day one this season, they would probably not be in the playoffs. Let's just we can be frank about that. But they are here. A lot of those wins came with KD and Kyrie were there. But again, I just think that the Philadelphia 76er will clamp down on defense. I think it'll be a hard time for the Nets to score at least in game two. Player props, anything that you're looking at?
Okay, let's go through here and man, I kind of want to. It's like I don't know what I'm gonna get from the Nets offensively
Yeah,
because I
I
want to.
can't get behind any Nets props.
I mean, at least anything good for the Nets. Like I
Yeah.
truly don't know what I'm gonna get from them as an offensive product because it just seems very, very spotty. Like even like I really want to get behind a Seth Curry prop today because it seems like the narrative is great. And
Yeah.
so the narrative on Curry is great. The fact that, he's playing Doc, playing the 76ers again, all this. Like we talk about, the James Harden trade, and Seth was in that trade too. So and the narrative is all there, but they truly like he had 7 quick points and then sat for a good portion of the game. And so I think that what I'm looking here is I'm going back to Joel Embiid. And I'm saying that this is the Joel Embiid game where Joel Embiid really gets to show off at home. He really gets to show, like, his offensive bag against this Nets team. You look at that first game, he didn't really have to do everything because everybody else was doing it all, and the Nets were giving them points. The Nets were giving them
Yeah.
turnovers, so they were getting out in transition. They were getting easy buckets. He did not have to go out and play in the half court and score a bunch of points. And so now I expect the game to slow down a little bit more, for the Nets to be more protective of the basketball, for us to see more half court sets. And if you see those half court sets, you're going to see more Joel Embiid and Joel Embiid doing Joel Embiid things. So it sounds very chalk, but this is the game. Joel Embiid over 32.5 points.
Yeah, I can argue against it. I mean, look, game one, you had three starters that scored 20 plus points. Tobias Harris, 21. Embiid had 26. Only had 15 shots in that game. And then James Harden, 23 points. He got 21 shots up in that game. So I don't think that Harden gets up that many shots again. Which again, I think those shots then will go to a guy like Joel Embiid. So yeah, this may be the Embiid game. I think I got to get back to Harden assist over 10 and a half at plus money. He had 13 in game one. I think that though, again, the Sixers shooters should be open if they knock him down again or not. I think he'll rack up those assists that way. If the turnovers continue, I think that's another opportunity for Harden to rack up those assists as well. NK asking Claxton birthday points, Terrell.
I mean, sure. I mean,
He
yeah, I mean, sure. I
had
mean, you're never gonna have anybody who is in the starting lineup and it's their birthday, and I not say, oh wow, like why would we not play? Why would we not play their points? Like Claxton, you can play on the inside. It can be even on a pick and roll. Like if they run more pick and roll with Spencer Dinwiddie and Claxton and try to find easy ways for buckets or anything like that. We've seen Nick Claxton come into a game and be 4 for 4, 10 points very, very easily in a game. So I 100% Claxton. I can get behind a Claxton game for sure.
all right. You got anything else for this game?
Let's see here. Is there anything else that's like super duper fun? I really want to see Royce O'Neal have a bigger contribution in this series. And I think that there's a possibility it happens
Hmm.
because, I mean, if you look at the game before, I think he was the only person off the bench that I know he didn't get into double figures, but I think he was the only person off the bench that looked, like kind of like very active. And so I can see him, that he's a facilitator when the point guard is off the floor. We know that he's a guy that can spread the floor, shoot from three when necessary. He was 0 for 3 that timeout. So he's been getting the attempts as well. And he just again another level of offsetting scoring. So I think that if you're taking this team to put up points, you think that they're going to score, you got to look at other guys. You got to look at other guys around that starting lineup that are going to be able to come off the bench and help, that scoring workload. And I think that could be a Royce O'Neal. I think that could be like a Royce O'Neal type of thing. He had 6 assists in that last game too, just going to that facilitating that I was talking about. So I wonder if he has an assist prop out right now. Because I know it's not at 6.
O'Neal
It can't be yeah. I'm looking around for it right now. Royce O'Neal, yeah, it's at 2.5
two and
at
a half.
minus. Yeah, like come on, we know him, especially the fact that Spencer Dinwiddie, and they really, really like when you think about it, with Sumner not getting any burn, they really don't have too many people that can handle the ball like consistently. Royce O'Neal, this assist prop is actually feels kind of cheating. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, even on a team that can't score, 2.5 assists for a guy that's gonna get guaranteed, that's in a guaranteed 6-man role coming off the bench.
Yeah. I see his 3 pointers at 1.5 at minus 110. Also, Cam Johnson over 2.5 threes made is at plus 120. I know he had 4 of 6 from 3 point land in game one. Did play 27 minutes, so I think that those are a couple of angles that I'll be
I think
looking
that
at
Royce O'Neal
as
play is my
well.
favorite play. I know it's juice, but I probably would bring it up if I can do an alt on Royce and make it three and a
Mhm.
half at plus money. Because if you told me that was the line, if you told me that, oh yeah, we're setting Royce O'Neal's assist at over 3.5 at plus 125, 130. Okay. Yes, I
Yeah.
like that. He's a guy that has the ball in his hands when he's the only guy that, when there's no point guard on the floor, he's a guy that holds the ball in his hand. He's a guy that can drive to the basket and make the right read with the basketball, maybe
Yeah.
to a Nick Claxton who might have a birthday game. I don't know. Like, yeah, I think that's one of my favorite props on the net side, that Royce O'Neal over 2.5 assists.
I think you got to probably just look at Nick Claxton double double, then plus 185 if you think he's gonna have a great birthday game. Like he's gonna get the rebounds.
Yep.
It's just about the points if he's gonna get there or not. All right, Terrell. Let's get over to the second game of the night. It's gonna be the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. Game two goes off in Sacramento. Sacramento did get the game one victory, 126-123. It turns into a barn burner, especially in that second half where I think they combined for like 130 plus points. But that was probably the most fun game to watch from at least from the Saturday slate. Warriors looking to even this series up. They are currently a minus 1.5 point favorite. Total is sitting at 240 in this game. Terrell, do you think Warriors even it up, or do the Kings take a 2-0 commanding lead?
This is tough because I feel everybody is on Golden State, and it makes sense. It was a very close game. I mean, I can tell you all the metrics that and what everybody is saying. They lost a one possession game, and you look at what happened. Steph was 6 for 14 from three. Clay was 5 for 14 from three. I think they shot. What did they shoot from three as a team? 32% from three, 16 for 50. You know, they lost the free throw battle to them. They lost the rebounding battle. They lost the turnover battle. They lost like everything. And people are saying that, that was not Golden State's best game, but I think that that was a lot of resiliency by the Kings there to be able to go out there and get that win, especially being down how they were in that third quarter when it felt like no matter what they did to cut that lead inside 5, Golden State could push it right back to 8 very easily, push it right back to 8. They couldn't get the stops that they needed. And so
Yeah.
I think this is the time to go contrarian again, and we go with the Kings again. I think Golden State does get a win on the road, but I don't think it's this one here. And it kind of almost seems a little bit too easy. Like, oh, it was the first, everybody's like, oh, it was the first game that, they played in forever. They were supposed to get the win. Wow, they didn't pick the Kings last game. I don't know how you say that the Kings are supposed to get the win because it was a
Yeah.
narrative and you didn't pick them last game. This is the spot where we go contrarian and we get back on the Kings in this game because we have to remember and just think about what that last game meant to the Golden State Warriors that are not used to consistently being on championship contending teams, to consistently playing in playoff series, is that we had this game. We thought we played well. We thought we could have came out here and got a win. Andrew came back and had a great game, and we still lost. We still can't win on the road. Like that
Yeah.
stuff gets into your mental psyche. And I think that this Sacramento team, well, they're feeling really, really good about themselves. They're thinking, hey, we can go up 2-0 to Golden State, going back to Golden State. Like, I just think that there's a lot more to this series than just basketball. I think that there's a lot of a mental battle that's going on between Mike Brown's group and Steve Kerr's group. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity, especially for the adjustments to come through, where Sacramento can steal game 2 as well. They can steal game 2 as well. So I'm gonna call for it. Like the beam. I
All
wouldn't be
right.
surprised that, Golden State goes down 2-0. I think that that would be the headline that everybody's talking about. And they're forgetting that De'Aaron Fox literally cannot be stopped. There's nobody on Golden State that can slow him down at all. And when he wants to
Yeah.
take over that fourth quarter, he absolutely can take over that fourth quarter. We're not talking about how Domantas Sabonis can affect the game other than scoring. He has so many other aspects to his game that even if he does get into another battle with Draymond Green and Kevon Looney, that he can still become a very, very good facilitator. They're not thinking about all the facts that Kevin Huerter didn't do anything in that game. Like,
Yeah.
like he was, he's one of their big time shooters, and he kind of was just running around, not doing anything. They're not paying attention to Davion Mitchell coming off the bench and holding Steph to some really strong possessions. Like you're talking about how Steph is 6 for 14. Davion Mitchell did help with that. Like he held him
Yeah.
to some very tough possessions. So I think there's a lot more to like about this Sacramento team than it meets the eye. And I think that this is still a series, but they go up 2-0. So give me the Sacramento Kings to get it done tonight.
Yeah, I was just doing some digging around and see how the Warriors respond after losing a playoff game. And this goes back to the 2016 season. So after they've taken a loss in the playoffs, just specifically in the playoffs since 2016, after a loss, they come back the next game. They're 18-4 straight up, 15-7 against the spread. Um, I already bet the Warriors here at -1. It's moved to -1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably on the public side here, but I feel like that. And I watched the entirety of this game. Again, the opportunities were there for the War. I mean, like you mentioned, that the Warriors had the opportunity to win. There were a corner 3-point shot from Andrew Wiggins away from taking a 2-point lead with some odd seconds left in the game. Um, and again, give a lot of credit to the Sacramento Kings for what they did in that game one, especially behind De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. De'Aaron Fox, you nailed it. That he's going to be a nightmare matchup for this Warriors team all series long, however long this series goes. Um, but I think the one thing that also worked in the favor of the Sacramento Kings was that they had, I think, 17 offensive rebounds to only 9 for the Golden State Warriors. I think that's an area we'll see improvement from this Golden State Warriors team, is rebounding the basketball here tonight. And that's going to be led by, I think, Kevon Looney. He only finished this game with 9 rebounds. I think that the Warriors will make their adjustments here tonight. I think Sabonis, and I tweeted this out, that Mike Brown is going to have to figure out how to implement or find a different way to get Sabonis involved in the offense because he was 5 of 17. If you're watching that game early on, they were playing drop coverage against Demonis Sabonis and not really
Hmm.
them getting into that paint and finish around the basket. They were forcing him to take those jump shots, and he did, and he missed a lot of them, if not all of them, in that game. So I think the Warriors bounced back here. I think they do get the road victory here. Again, they were only 16 of 50 from 3-point land. I think they'll shoot the
Hmm.
ball a little bit better as well. Andrew Wiggins was 1 of 8 from 3-point land. Jordan Poole did pop up on the injury report late in the afternoon. I don't know if anybody caught that, but he was officially questionable with the ankle injury. I think he will play, but again, I think this might be a game where we see the Splash Brothers really shine. And I think that they'll make their adjustments. I still think this will be a high scoring big game. But we talk about, I think whose defense can you trust more? I think it has to be the Warriors with the return of Andrew Wiggins and Gary Payton II, because those two guys were really the catalyst last season when they won the championship. When they won the title, those two guys were absolutely phenomenal on the defensive end. And I think Kevon Looney as well, he didn't get his flowers. I mentioned this Scott last week, that he was absolutely a monster in that playoff series last year in their run to the championship. I think those guys will step up here tonight. I think Splash Brothers will do their thing. I think the Warriors do get the victory here tonight. So I'm gonna go with the Warriors. I'll go with the public side here. I'll take the Warriors in this game. Total is at 240 here, Terrell. Do we still think that it's going to be another shootout, or what are you thinking about the total?
No, I mean, I'm still going. I'm still going to the over. If I'm going to be on the public side about something, it's probably going to be that over. And well, I mean, no. Actually, the public's actually kind of split. I'm seeing actually more. It looks like some more sharps are on the under in this one, but I I just have to go with what I saw, and what I saw, I'll have to see Mike Brown be able to make adjustments to. Will they be able to get stops from Golden State? It seemed like Golden State was missing a lot of the time more than the Kings were getting stops. I think Davion Mitchell, was able to. He was really like, I think he had a pretty solid game actually on the defensive end, but
Yeah.
I really think that it was a lot more of Golden State was missing a lot of shots rather than,
Mhm.
and that goes to the road aspect. Like that goes to the road aspect. If you're at home, you probably make a couple of those shots,
Yeah.
like and all of that stuff is affecting everybody. And so I'm still going with the over. I just didn't see enough stops from the Kings to make me feel any better, and I think that this Sacramento team still has an opportunity where De'Aaron Fox, he's probably penciled in for 30. I'm not gonna lie, he's probably penciled in for 30 tonight.
Yeah.
And so everybody else, Trey Lyles, really, really good. Like they were able to get something out of him. Like they're getting production out of everybody else. And so I still think that the Kings are going to be able to score. I think Golden State's going to be able to score. Feels a little bit correlated. I think that the Kings win is because they want to shoot out. I think that this is a defensive game. Then Golden State probably is going to get a win there.
Yeah, I was kind of transition to the player props here. I'm with you on the over. I can't bet an under with these two teams, especially with the pace that they play out. Right? It's like how it was just barn burner where they put up 100 some odd points. So talk to me about player props in this game, Troy. What do you got?
All right. So somebody talked in the chat about Sabonis points, rebounds, and assists. I'll take you one even better. And let's just take one of those things out. Let's just take points out of the way overall. And let's just go rebounds, assists over 20 and a half, minus
I like
102.
that.
And so he didn't get there last time, but if you look at the last game, he had 2 assists. Like I expect him to understand that this matchup between Kevon Looney and Draymond Green is not going away. Like he's got his hands full with the two down there, and he's going to have them full for the duration of the game because it's not too many times that neither one of them is on the court when Sabonis is on the court. So I expect him to be more of a facilitator this go around. I expect to see him to understand that he doesn't have to score the basketball or take 15 shots like he did to be able to find ways to affect this game. And so I like his rebounds and assists over 20 and a half. I think that he absolutely is in, triple double watch territory for this game because we know the rebounds is going to be there. He's always going to have a really good rebounding game against Golden State.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see him having a lot better on the assist side that will get us over that 20 and a half because I'm already penciling him in for like 12 to 13 rebounds. So I think that he can definitely get close to a triple double territory. We look at how he's been. I expect to see him facilitating a lot more in this game, and that's the adjustment he makes.
Yeah, I think the rebounds are always going to be there for Sabonis. I mean, he had 16 in the game in game one, and even during the regular season, I think that he finished. I think 2 of the 3 games where he had 14 or more rebounds against the Warriors. So I definitely can get behind that. I think I'm going to go back to his rebounds here tonight over 13 and a half for Sabonis. I think this might be another big Steph game. I know he finished with exactly 30 last night, but I think he'll shoot a little bit better. Again, it start and stops with a guy like Steph Curry. I know it's a little bit of a square play here, but I do think that he has a big game here tonight, where it's 32 to 35 points here tonight. Um, so I was looking at Curry to go over on his points prop. With you on the Sabonis one. Anything else that you do like for player props?
Let me see. I want to see what did Gary Payton II do last game. Uh,
He had 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals.
yeah, so that's what I was kind of looking for. Uh, Gary Payton II is going to need to be out there. I think we're realizing that he's going to need to be out there, and especially like interchanging with Andrew Wiggins. So I'm just trying to figure out, how do I want to bet him? Like, in what way does he aspect the game? Does he get over 9.5 points, rebounds, and assists? And just say that he's kind of there, active everywhere. Is it the steals? Like, how many steals did you say he had?
He had 2. I see steals and blocks combined over 1.5 at plus 150.
Oh, I like that.
Like
Steals
if
and
like
blocks.
yeah. Or if you just want to go, I think the value's on that plus 150, but just one for him to get 1 steals at minus 185.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
lay -185, but that, because he can get 2 steals, we can get lucky with a block there. Like, I know Golden State is going to try something else defensively,
Yeah.
and we're going to see if it works. Maybe that's more Gary Payton II on him. Yeah, I like that. Let's go with Gary Payton II. Oh, steals and blocks over 1.5 plus 140. What'd you say it was?
Plus one. Where'd it go? Plus 150 on DraftKings.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Okay, great.
Looney's steals and blocks are also at plus 105. I think that he can definitely get at least 2 blocks, if not one of each, for the Warriors. But yeah. All right. Anything else?
Wham said he liked that Wiggins blocks and steals. I can always get behind Wiggins. Especially, man, he didn't look like he took any time off at all. I don't see Wiggins prop. Do you see
Yeah, man,
Wiggins prop?
that was the first thing when I was handicapping yesterday. That's the first thing I was looking for was Wiggins steals and blocks, but it's still not listed. I don't know, Wham. If you see it, man, let me know in the chat if you see Wiggins blocks and steals. But he's gonna get the minutes. The Warriors, like he played 28 minutes and then he had 4 blocks in the game yesterday alone. Or
Yeah.
sorry, in game one alone. So yeah, I'll look out for that. Hopefully they drop that sooner rather than later. All right, you got anything else for this game?
No. I think we've hit about most of it.
Yep. All right, so let's close out this episode with our lock in dog for tonight. You want to lead it off?
All right, I will. And for my lock, I'm going to. How do I? Wow. How do I want to play this slate? For my lock, I'm going to that under in the Brooklyn Philadelphia game, under 213. I'm getting the worst part of the number, but I feel good about Brooklyn inability to consistently score the ball. I feel good about the pace slowing down. Brooklyn readjusting and not having the bad turnover game, giving up so many easy points. We didn't get there the first time. I think we'll get there the second time, under 213 for the Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers. For my dog, is they're not even, I mean, that's like a puppy dog. They're not a real. All right, there's numerous ways that we can play Sacramento getting a win. So it's gonna be it's revolving something of Sacramento getting a win. I just want to see what'll give me the best price, because they're plus 106 now. Would I really be me if I gave y'all plus 106 bet? Like, come on, let's be serious. When do I ever plus 106? Like, You might as well be laying. Like, come on. All right, we need something juicier. So let me see. An alt spread of, but they only won by 3 last time. That's the concerning part of the alt spread. See, the alt spreads aren't even okay. So it's not going to be an alt spread. So we're going to do a double. Let's do smallest double is not okay. All right. Do they adjust to De'Aaron Fox? Maybe, but I'm still going to take it. De'Aaron Fox 30 plus. Sacramento get a win plus 245.
All right, I can't hate that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much correlated. Like if Kings are going to win, you're going to have Fox score at least 30 plus, unless like you had 4 different starters that scored 20 plus points, because like we're going to see points being put up in this series. Like there's no doubt about that.
I would have gave out the
Gary
Sacramento to be
Payton.
down by 10 plus points and still win the game. I would have gave out that comeback thing, but they don't have it listed. I don't know what makes them list some and not others, but that's really what have been my dog if they had it out.
Okay. For my lock, I'm just gonna lay the points, man. Give me the Sixers minus the 10. I think this team, this Brooklyn Nets team. I mean, look, they have a lot of great role players, but I think this is a game where the Sixers make some more defensive adjustments. I know they, like we talked about, they only scored 101 points, but they allowed them to shoot 55% from the floor. I still think that they're going to create those turnovers are the Sixers, and they'll still be able to get points that way as well. And like Terrell, you mentioned it, that this might be the Joel Embiid game. So I'll lay the points here. I think Sixers take a commanding 2-0 lead here against the Nets. For my dog, I was looking for the Andrew Wiggins prop for the either blocks or steals. I don't see it. Gary Payton. I'll give you 2 that I like. I'll go Gary Payton over 1.5 steals and blocks combined at plus 150. And then give me Cam Johnson over 2.5 3-point shots made at plus 120. I think that he was 4 of 6 from 3-point land. I think there'll be more attention to slow down Mikal Bridges. That will all open up opportunities for some other players. And I think that Cam Johnson he's definitely going to get the minutes. He'll play 25 to 30 minutes, and he's going to get up the shots as well. So I think they're going to try to slow down Mikal Bridges. That should open up opportunities for other guys like Cam Johnson. So at 2.5 at plus 120. I'll give you 2. So Cam Johnson over 2.5 threes plus 120, and then Gary Payton steals and blocks combined over 1.5 at plus 150. All right, man, that's gonna do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. 4 games you recapped, and then 2 games on the schedule tonight for the NBA playoffs. Terrell, anything else we need to mention before we get out of here, my man?
No. I mean, so if I'm right, and I will say if because I could be wrong, I've been wrong before. But if I'm right and Golden State goes down 2-0, don't get in your feelings, don't get hurt, don't do all of that. Just go, and this will be the perfect opportunity because the books aren't going to know what to do with that line. When that adjusted series spread comes out about an hour after the game or whatever, they're not going to know what to do with that line. And I'm not waiting until I get back on this show tomorrow to tell you what I'm doing. I'm just letting you know I'm getting back in on Golden State.
Right now, it's minus 150. I think that probably flips to like what, 2?
Oh, they got to be 2-1. They
Yeah.
got to be 2-1 at down 0-2. You got to
Yeah.
be 2-1 dogs by that point.
Yeah.
There's no
2-1.
way. There's no way you're not 2-1 dogs at that point. And if it is, then the value's on the Kings at -1. If you have a 2-0 lead and you're like minus 150 or something, like no, you got to be a 2-1 dog at that point.
Just put it in context. Grizzlies right now are plus 210. Obviously, that has to do with some with the
John Morant stuff.
John Morant news. And then again, another context, the Cavs are plus 135.
Yeah, so I'm 100% like looking to if Golden State goes down, I'll be looking to put Golden State in Memphis in some type of parlay probably.
Yep.
And really not because I'm giving up on the Lakers, but more, well, I was on Memphis in the first place, but uh I still think that, to that flip was too much. Like that flip was it was the Lakers flip. Like it was the Lakers adjustment, and because it's the Lakers, they get a little bit more, but that flip was too much. I don't even think it should have been that close in the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. All right. We'll be back tomorrow at the usual time. It'll be Terrell, Scott, and Delonte tomorrow. Also, a quick shout out to everyone that has subscribed to the YouTube channel for the NBA Gambling Podcast. We did reach 1,000 subscribers over the weekend, so appreciate everyone that supports us, that watches us every single day, and also obviously, if you can't get to the live stream, definitely listens to the pod whenever they can. So definitely appreciate you guys. Wouldn't be here without y'all and y'all support. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast on YouTube. And then wherever you listen to your pod, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Google Play, wherever it might be, do us a favor, leave us a rating and review. It definitely helps us grow the show. Make sure to follow the villain Terrell on Twitter at reallyreal__. Follow me on Twitter at sportsnerd824. More importantly, follow the NBA Gambling Podcast account on Twitter at SGPN All right, guys, good luck with your bets here tonight. Let's break these books off and let it ride.